Hugo, what's up, man? Super excited to have you as part of the new program, and part of the speed program here. I know you're going to get a lot of benefit out of doing this. Just watching a little bit of your breakdown. That there's definitely some things that are some areas that we can improve and we can work on. So, very excited about that. And um, yeah, I mean, I believe that you're going to get a lot out of it because there are some definitely mechanic things that we can work on and start there. That's why, as we go, we'll want to get more angles. But from this one, because there's a lot of good things we can work on, this angle will be fine. We'll be able to get plenty of information from this. All right. So first thing what we want to work on is when you're initiating your start. And I know obviously in rugby you're not going to be in a 4-point stance when you start, but I'm sure when you are beginning to run, just kind of looking at how your running form is, we need to do a better job of addressing your spine angle and really allowing yourself to improve from an acceleration standpoint. And in order for us to help you work on your acceleration standpoint, you're going to have to be able to produce a little bit more force from a bent over spine position. So what happens here is you first get started, you go from your spine, really being at an angle down towards the ground to, very quickly being very, very upright. And so when you land with that first step, I mean, your spine is almost completely risen up there. And so when you're supposed to be going and pressing yourself out, going straight, you've basically just stood straight up. And so most of your momentum has actually gone up and very little of it has gone out. Okay, then the next thing as you're going, and the next step, your spine even goes up, higher. So we got to definitely work on your overall spine range of motion and your ability to get just general hip flexion while maintaining a good position in your spine. And then from there, we're going to have to work on getting a little bit more force in your actual or strength in your actual hip flexors as well as range of motion in your hamstrings, and I'm sure that was what you were talking about a little bit earlier today with the flexibility. So, because as you get going here, what's happening is you're just not creating as much knee drive as you want. And I just think it's because more so the sequence of how you're running than anything. It looks like you're pretty strong. You just don't have all the knowledge in terms of what you want to be doing here. So I'm going to try to break this all down for you, specifically from the side. So. First, as you're pressing off, what you want is you want to have this heel to kind of push over a little bit more instead of it being straight up just like that. So if you could get that full push off with that toe to make it so, after you push off, your heel actually is, turned over and you're actually, fully extending that toe. That's going to help, and that's going to require a little bit more range of motion there at the front part of the shin. Then from there, as you're driving up, and you do a good job of maintaining a good plane during that drive up phase, but you want to just drive it up further. So this heel wants to get all the way up towards the butt. And in order for you to get all the way up towards the butt, you got to be able to turn this foot all the way over. So you got to be able to push off hard. And when you push off hard there, now you can drive that heel all the way up to your butt rather than making it so you just get to a 90 degrees. Now when you get that heel up to your butt, you'll be able to more easily achieve hip flexion or driving your knee up. Okay, so what happens here is by you trying to drive your knee up with your foot so low, your hip flexors are biomechanically not in a good position, right? So when you're like this and you're trying to drive up your leg, you're putting a lot of stress on your hip flexors, and I don't think your hip flexors are super strong. So basically you're putting a not strong muscle in a biomechanic position that is not going to allow it to create very much strength. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So it would be obviously, better to strengthen the hip flexor, and it'll also be better to make it in a good biomechanic position to create more strength. And you could even do this, you could try bringing your heel up to your butt, then driving your knee in comparison to keeping your foot down and then driving your knee, and you'll be able to tell how when you have your foot like this, it makes it harder for your hips to actually work in comparison to when you have your foot all the way up. Okay, so that's a big part of this whole thing. Okay, so then because you're in that position, now when you have this knee drive, now you have to end up separating your heel a little bit faster, extending your knee a little bit faster, and because you extend your knee a little bit faster, you can't get your knee up as high. okay? And because you can't get your knee up as high, now you can't extend your leg out in front of you, and that's really the crucial thing here. Is what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to give you the solution to be able to get your knee up and extend your knee out in front of you, and then pull your foot back behind. All right, that ends up being the key thing that you want to achieve. Let me see. Let's go disadvantage curve. Oh, we don't have that. Let's go. Just do Anthony Schwartz. Okay, so Anthony Schwartz is right here in front there. And this is like the fastest high school player in the nation, or high school sprinter in the nation. So, notice, so when he pushes off, right, he's able to push and get that, and I know it's the video is not good enough, but you can see how the heel ends up going and facing in that direction, and the toes behind. Okay, then he drives that heel all the way up to his butt, and there's a key thing, and we'll work on this as well, where you want that heel to be up towards your butt before the knee crosses, the back knee crosses the front knee. Okay, and so he does that, and then from there, now he gets that knee drive, and then when he's getting that knee drive, now he goes and extends, right, the leg, and then he pulls that leg back underneath him, and then that's how, he lands. So he lands with a fairly straight leg, okay? And that's really the big thing that we got to do, is we got to make it so you can straighten that leg a little bit more and then pull your leg behind you. And then when you do that, now you'll be creating more force out of your posterior chain. So then when you go and you push off here, you'll be able to really create that backwards push, because right now you're not getting that good cycle in this phase right here, right? Your foot's not pulling back, it's just going straight down. And because it's going straight down, now you're not able to really push off the same as if you were pulling back already, then your foot touched. Then you could go and really push off and extend simultaneously, and then really get a strong push within that leg. When you can get the strong push in the leg, now you'll get a little bit more height. When you get a little bit more height, you'll be able to drive that heel up to your butt better. When you can drive the heel up to the butt better, then you'll be able to drive the knee up better. When you can drive the knee up better, then you'll be able to extend that foot out in front of you, which will then allow you to pull back, and that whole cycle will be a lot better, okay? In terms of your position in your spine, I mean, that looks like it's okay. It looks like you're not in a bad position there. I like where you're at, and when you're transferring over, I mean, you do have a bit of an anterior pelvic tilt, but it's not enough to, impact you to this degree. We talked a little bit about the hip flexors and how that's a big thing with anterior pelvic tilting, but this is is not as big of the anterior pelvic tilt. While it might have some impact, it's not enough to make it so you just can't drive. Really, you should be able to drive your heel up to your butt pretty effectively. The anterior pelvic tilt shouldn't be impacting that. It would impact your hip drive, but really the first thing you got to do is just be able to get your heel up to your butt. And when you can, again, when you do that, that'll be the first step in being able to fix all these things. So, like I said, you're going to have a completely different running motion after we get to you, because this is definitely fixable, 100% fixable. So, don't worry about that. Just work on the things that we put into the into your program, and work on the running form that we're I talked about here, and you're going to get a lot better. All right, man? I'm looking forward to it. We'll talk soon.